from the NewsChannel 5 network. This is Inside Politics, sponsored by United Health Group.
Hello, everyone. I'm NewsChannel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. Our guest on Inside Politics today is Tennessee Republican Congressman Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on the show, as always, especially at the end of what's been a very eventful week.
Yes, it has.
There was a poison gas attack by the Syrian government against its people in the last few days. President Trump reacted rather vociferously to that, and he's now ordered the launch of a number of cruise missiles that hit the military base in Syria that started that attack. What's your reaction?
I think that we all can agree that Assad is a war criminal. He is someone who has chosen to gas his people in the use of the chlorine gas and the sarin gas. And President Trump is, the action is appropriate to go in and take out that airfield. There were 59 Tomahawks that were launched that did do considerable damage and disabled the Shayrat airfield.
So are we at war with Syria?
No, we're not at war with Syria. What we have done is to protect the people of Syria and to protect our strategic interests and our personnel who are in that region, because if Assad is going to use gas against his people, I don't think he would have any problem using it against ours. And you know, you look at how close and tight that region is, and if you're in Israel and standing in the Golan Heights, you're looking right over into Syria. You can hear some of the skirmishes that are taking place, and so I think the president made the appropriate move.
The administration's policy to this point about Syria had been mostly focused not on the civil war over there, and there had been previous atrocities and use of gas, but more on fighting ISIS. But in recent days, his administration had also indicated prior to this attack that they were also looking at perhaps changing the idea that Assad had to go as a part of any settlement for the civil war. That's a rather abrupt change in policies in less than a little over 24 hours.
It is a change in policy, and I think what we have to do is look at the fact that that Syria is now in violation of a UN resolution and agreement. We know that. We know this action that Assad has taken, and you don't know if he was going to continue that, or if what else he may pivot to. And the president did change his actions or his process. I don't have the backstory on that. I do know this.
In fact, nobody in Congress was briefed about this before you found out about this on the news like everybody else.
I can only speak for myself. I did not know that it was coming, but I know the president's rhetoric had picked up with his concerns over Syria. Now, who through the process was briefed, I do not know, but I know that last night I found out about the action just as many Americans were finding out about that action, but I do think it's the appropriate action to take.
This appeared to be in part the president reacting to what he saw on television news, which he gets a lot of his information from. Is that a good place to form your foreign policy on, based on that, and make particularly a change like that? The
president has the National Security Council that is briefing him and informing him. You have KT who is there, you have General McMaster who is there, you also have General Mattis that is a part of advice and counsel. So while the president references the media that everyone else is seeing, I think it's also important to note that he has briefings, intel briefings, and classified briefings every single day, and if need be, more than once a day.
There's been a change in the National Security Council in just the last week. One of the president's top political advisors has been removed from that. I don't know the exact timing of all these things together, but do you have any reason to believe that taking Steve Bannon off that had anything to do with the beginning of the change of this policy?
I don't think that the two are necessarily related. I think there's so much that they're trying to work on right now whether it is the national security policy, tax reform, health care, that it is a matter, and you have to look at this too, the Senate is moving at a snail's pace when it comes to confirming individuals for appointments into the administration, and they need to pick up their pace so that the president can have a fully formed administration. So the advisors to the president that are there at the White House, are they doing double, triple, quadruple duty? Absolutely they are.
Does the president need to come to Congress now to explain his actions and also outline the plan of what happens going forward? Not only about what he plans to do, but how he plans to exit it once he's achieved victory or whatever goals he has.
Well, I think that it is expected that individuals that are on the Intel and Armed Services Committee are probably today receiving additional information. I would expect that when we return from our district work period that we will have a classified briefing that will give us a little bit more information, and that's generally how we proceed.
Do you see this as a one-time attack? Do you have any reason to believe there's going to be additional attacks made by U.S. forces inside Syria? Are we trying to intervene in the war and now remove President Assad, or have we made our statement and are going to move on?
We are seeking to protect people, and we are the Syrian people, and we are seeking to make certain that our military advisors that are there and on the ground, that and in that region, that they are safe. You know, the action that was taken last night has been supported by our allies and individuals in the area. And they were pleased to see that the action was taken and that this airfield was disabled. And it provides some relief that was needed. But Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey were all supportive of the action the president took.
Congressman Marsha Blackburn's our guest on Inside Politics. We're talking about what's happened in Syria. We'll go back to this country and talk about what's been going on in Washington. Back to continue our conversation with the Congressman after this break.